Good morning and welcome back. There are so many things I love about summer. Ripe heirloom tomatoes and peaches, reading way past my bedtime to finish a chapter in a book I cannot put down, smelling the ocean, eating dinner outside every chance I get, hearing the loud buzz of cicadas in hot August evenings, and savoring daylight well past 9 p.m. Summer may have this particular allure because for my entire life, both as a child and an adult, the 2 months that span the middle of June to the middle of August have been markedly different than the rest of the year in pace, routine, and opportunity. Don't get me wrong, the 10 months that comprise the school year are equally engaging and invigorating, mostly because all of you are here. It's just that summer has its own unique vibe. I pray that summer offered all of you gathered here this morning something different than your normal routine. In whatever form it took, I hope summer break provided you at least one moment of reflection, rest, or reinvigoration. One area of reinvigoration for me this summer had to do with my thinking about our school and the year ahead. As is always my practice, I spend a chunk of my summer imagining how the upcoming school year could offer all of us something new and exciting. Whenever I spend time thinking about NCS and my work here, I always begin with our mission. We believe in the power of women and educate them to embrace our core values of excellence, service, courage, and conscience. Interestingly, our mission does not say we believe in the empowerment of women. Our mission acknowledges the pre-existence of this power. NCS as an institution is not the entity that gives our students power. Rather, the entire enterprise here at NCS is about creating conditions that allow you, our students, to connect with your power, to discover its contours, to authentically express it, to connect it to each other and the world around you. How do we do this? Connect with and understand our power? It is something I believe we do throughout our whole lives. And a primary way to discover our power is by being curious. People often say that knowledge is power, but I believe curiosity is power. Curiosity is the root of meaningful learning. Curiosity is a gateway to new ideas and perspectives which help us relate to and connect with others. And curiosity can help us better understand ourselves, our goals, our values, our ambitions. Simply put, curiosity fosters learning, relationships, and self-awareness, all roots of power. Spend a moment and think about a subject, a class, or an activity that brings you joy. My guess is that something about that subject or activity sparks your curiosity, engages your brain in an exciting or energizing way. When we are curious, learning tends to be more interesting and engaging. When we are curious, we ask questions, look at problems from different perspectives. We wonder and imagine. Curiosity draws our attention to the present, heightens our sense of observation, and allows us to look beyond the surface. Curious people tend to be more interested in understanding than in getting something right. Curiosity requires us to listen deeply, examine our preconceived notions. Curiosity is not always linear and sometimes takes us off the beaten path. There are also forces, often outside of our control, that stifle curiosity and inhibit its expression within us. Pressure, performance anxiety, worry about grades, other people's expectations, and fear all can hold us back and limit our curiosity. As we begin a brand new school year, we can all make choices that promote a curious mindset. What would you like to learn more about this year? What might you need to let go of in order to make room for curiosity? How can all of us see moments of struggle when things feel hard and overwhelming as part of the process of learning and not a sign that we aren't smart or good enough? Curiosity is not only the root of meaningful intellectual learning and exploration, but it's also the root of empathy. In the reading just now, we revisited the parable of the Good Samaritan. In this story, when Jesus is asked how one inherits eternal life, he says, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and all your strength and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." The parable centers the question, who is my neighbor? This parable has stood the test of time because of the vitality of the question it invokes. In her new book, How We Learn to Be Brave, Decisive Moments in Life and Faith, Bishop Buddy reminds us of the power of this question, who is my neighbor, as she recounts the last days of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life. During these last days, King was in Memphis supporting the sanitation workers' strike. The night before he was assassinated, he recounted the parable of the Good Samaritan to gathered crowds. He said, I quote, "The first question the Levite and the priest asked when they saw the wounded man was, 'If I stop to help this man, what will happen to me?' The Good Samaritan reversed the question. 'If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him?' That is the question before you tonight. Not if I stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to me? But if I do not stop to help the sanitation workers, what will happen to them? That is the question," end quote. Curiosity about the lived experiences of those around us is the foundation of loving your neighbor as yourself. It is the key ingredient in building strong friendships, loving partnerships, healthy teams, and strong communities. When we lead with curiosity about those with whom we interact, we are less likely to stereotype and label people. There have been many times in my life when I've made assumptions about a person or a situation with inadequate information. It is only when I take time to get to know someone by asking them questions or listening to their different perspective that I get a more accurate and complete picture. Curiosity allows us to better understand others and to build empathy. One of my favorite shows on Netflix is Ted Lasso. This summer, I revisited some of my favorite Ted Lasso episodes. In one that seems particularly relevant this morning, Ted is playing a high-stakes game of darts with a rival who continually belittles and makes fun of him. Ted wins the game, and he explains to his opponent, Rupert, that he grew up playing darts with his father every day as a child. Rupert could have known that about Ted had he bothered to ask. Ted reminds his opponent of a simple mantra: be curious, not judgmental. Be curious, not judgmental. The temptation to judge others and ourselves is all too easy. It takes more time, more intention, more effort to lead with curiosity, to ask questions, to listen deeply, to reserve judgment, but the payoff can be profound. The move from being judgmental to being curious not only has profound implications for our relationships with other people, but it can have a profound impact on our ability to grow and develop as an individual. I realize that I am more critical of myself than I am of others. When I mess up, when I fail or make a mistake, I judge myself harshly in ways that are sometimes paralyzing. The first time I applied for a job as a head of school, I wasn't selected. This was back when I was the director of upper school here at NCS. After 6 years in that role, I applied to be the head of another school. I went through many rounds of interviews, and I was chosen as one of 2 finalists. As part of the process, I spent 3 days at that school on campus, interviewing with felt like the entire community. I was asked to address the student body as part of the interview. I met with the entire faculty and staff, and hundreds of parents and the Board of Trustees. The school put information about me and the other finalists on their website. My colleagues at NCS knew I was applying for the job. Suffice it to say, it was a very public search. In the end, the consultants working with the school told me that I was the final choice, and I would be getting a call from the school with a job offer. At the last minute, however, instead of getting a call from the search committee offering me the job, I got word they changed their mind. They were going with the other finalist, an accomplished sitting head of school who had much more experience than I did. I was devastated. I was embarrassed because I felt like everybody knew that I didn't get the job. I would even go to the grocery store and people would stop me and approach me and tell me how sorry they were that I didn't get the job. In addition to feeling embarrassed, I felt worried. Throughout the entire interview process, I wrestled with whether I was ready to be a head of school, if I wanted that kind of all-in job. I worried that I wasn't quite ready to leave NCS. However, by the time the search was complete, I believed I was ready. And somehow, when I wasn't selected, it rekindled all of those insecurities and doubts. Ultimately, the only way I could get over that disappointment was by getting curious about what I needed to learn more about in order to be ready to be a head of school. Instead of judging my shortcomings as a candidate and dwelling on my rejection, I had to get curious about how I could learn more about a job I had never done. That curiosity propelled me to gain experience and exposure to headship, and I was really blessed to get that support to grow professionally here at NCS. And those new experiences prepared me to become the head of the Langley School years later, and ultimately to return back to NCS, a place I love. In moments where we fail, either publicly or privately, we inevitably feel vulnerable, ashamed, and embarrassed. The key is to not get stuck in these feelings, to move from judgment to curiosity, to embrace curiosity, the why of what happened, the how of how we got here, the what of what's next, and the where of where to go now. These questions allow us to recover from these moments of adversity and to find a productive path forward in the toughest of times. As we sit here on September 5th, the whole year stretches out before us. We have choices about how to approach this new year. What would you like to learn more about this year? Is there something you've never done before, but you would like to try? There are 102 new students in this cathedral, and there are 16 new faculty and staff members. One of them could be your new best friend. And when the going gets tough, and let me be clear, it will get tough for all of us at some point, how will you stay curious in the face of adversity? How will you trade judgment for questions? And how can you find someone who will help you use curiosity to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep moving? How will you use curiosity to tap into your power?